Dan the ToughSkin Man. I got a call from a customer that asked me, Dan, can you stop the leaks in my sunroom? You know what I said? You called the right guy. So come along, I'm going to take you and show you how to use ToughSkin products to stop leaks in sunrooms. So stick around because you're going to learn something. All right, so here is the sunroom. It's a typical sunroom. It's a painted white aluminum sheeting. You can see that over the years people have tried to caulk the seams. And you also notice something that happens on virtually every sunroom is it has moss and algae on the surface of the roof. So what we have to do is we have to power wash the moss and algae off, but that isn't enough. Because if you just use a power washer, it still has a film of moss and algae on it, even if you can't see it. So then we're going to use our ToughSkin surface layer, which is our lye-based gel. Apply it, wait about a half an hour, and then power wash it off. Then you'll have a perfectly clean algae and moss-free surface to then start using our ToughSkin rubber butter and sealing these seams. All right, let's go to that now. So we're power washing the sunroom. It's a regular little 1600 psi. It's taking most of the algae and moss off, but you can see that it's not taking it all. So we'll power wash the loose stuff that we can get off, and then we'll get the surface layer and apply it to take the rest off. All right, so now we've power washed the sunroom. You can see it looks a lot cleaner now, but it's not perfect, and let me show you why. Next step is surface layer. And the reason why we do that is, hopefully it shows up in the camera here, but if you look, you can actually clean it even more. See the cleaner patch right here, as opposed to the dirtier area around it. The dirtier area is actually algae that's attached to the sunroom roof. So if you don't kill and remove the algae, if you were to try to come and caulk this seam again, the caulking would attach to the algae and it would just release. So you have to clean algae, you have to kill it. That's where surface layer comes in. Surface layer is a lye gel. The reason why it's a gel and not a liquid is if you were to put a liquid like a lye in the viscosity of water, it would just roll right down the sunroom and it wouldn't stay long enough to kill the algae. That's why surface layer is a gel. You put it on the sunroom roof, it kills the algae. We're going to let it sit for about an hour, and then we'll come back, power wash the roof again, and it will be perfectly clean and ready to waterproof. So let's take a look at applying surface layer now. All right, so now we're using surface layer. With the large roller, we're going to roll the entire surface of the sunroom to kill the algae so it can release from the sunroom. We're also going to be going up and over these skylights because algae can grow on glass, just like it does in an aquarium. It can grow on anything. So after we're done that, we will power wash this off again, and then we'll have a very clean surface to then apply ToughSkin waterproofing materials to. Let's take a look at that now. All right, so we're power washing here. Our little power washer. And you can see, I'll try and zoom in. How much more algae you can get off after you use the surface layer. It's actually surprising because the roof looked pretty clean when we power washed it. But after you apply surface layer, let it sit for an hour, then just use a regular power washer. It gets all that algae off because the algae, it kills the algae lets go of the metal surface, and it can be power washed away really easily. So let's take a look at the roof after we've got it all power washed and it's ready for waterproofing. All right, so now we're using a leaf blower to dry the roof. Just a cheap little electric leaf blower. After we apply the surface layer and clean the entire roof. All right, so here is the sunroom. It's been washed and dried. And as you can see, it takes all of the algae off of the roof, the surface layer, but it also takes some of the paint off. And you actually want to get that paint off because that's the paint that's been worn out from the UV of the sun over the years. So it kind of turns into like a powder, and you want to get that off as much as you can. Even if it strips all of the paint off to the original aluminum sheeting, that's okay, because you're going to be using SuperCool, which is our white rubber coating, in the end to turn it back to white. So now we're going to be using SuperClear, clear liquid rubber on all the seams before we apply the rubber butter. So I'll show you how we do that now. You adjust the nozzle so you get a good spray pattern, a good fan, and you put it over all the seams. You go over about 2 to 3 inches over on either side of each seam. Anywhere you're going to be applying rubber butter, which is the next step, you want to apply SuperClear beforehand. And I'll explain to you why we're going to be doing SuperClear on all the seams now. So the reason why we're applying SuperClear is it's a low viscosity, clear liquid rubber. We apply it over the seams onto the metal surface of the sunroom roof. The reason why we want to apply this before our rubber butter is that because it's a liquid and it attaches to virtually anything, it even sticks to Teflon. What you're doing is you're spraying it onto the seams, wider than the seams, so you get a really good bond onto the metal because it attaches electrostatically and mechanically to metal. Where caulkings are different, if you just caulk it, you don't, because this is a liquid, you're priming the seams with a liquid. If you start just with a caulking and you just caulk it, because of the viscosity of caulking, it doesn't contact the metal enough to create an electrostatic and good mechanical bond. So you want to prime the seams with SuperClear before you apply rubber butter. So we'll talk about rubber butter now. So this is rubber butter. It's what we'll be putting on the roof next. Rubber butter is not like regular caulkings or asphalt-based caulkings. Regular caulkings are made with a lot of fillers like clay and water and then put into a tube with colorants and plasticizers. But the fillers are what dry out over time and crack, like clays. And then you have also asphalt caulkings that you can get in buckets like this, but they're made from asphalt. The problem with asphalt, it has no elasticity or very low, and it'll crack very quickly after install. Now rubber butter is made from recycled tires. So we take recycled tires, we grind them down into a powder, and we make them into liquid tire. That's what rubber butter is. So I'll go up on the sunroom, we'll show you how we're applying this over the seams with trowels. Let's take a look at that now. So this sunroom has skylights on it. So I've put masking tape on the skylight about 1 inch from the retainer ring. This is the retainer ring. It holds the glass onto the skylight frame. So what we want to do is waterproof where the retainer ring meets the glass so the water can't get underneath it. So I've put masking tape on here so we don't get any spray to the inside of the skylight. So all we have to do is take the clear liquid rubber and spray it right where the retainer ring meets the glass. And it will creep underneath the retainer ring, between the glass and the retainer ring, and create a new waterproof gasket between the retainer ring and the glass. But I'll make a separate skylight waterproofing video on how to properly waterproof skylight using SuperClear. So stick around for that video, but I won't bore you with this, and we'll go on to putting on the rubber butter on the seams of this roof now. So now we get the rubber butter out. Let's take a look inside. It's made from recycled tires. So what you're looking at is liquid tire. And then we put it right over the seams. Now there's existing caulking on here. You don't need to cut that off. That would just make too much of a mess. But you go wider than the existing caulking. We're just putting it on with a regular metal trowel. I'm gonna go right over top of the old caulking, and the reason why we sprayed that SuperClear clear liquid rubber wider is so we could go wider with the rubber butter, and now the rubber butter will attach perfectly to the metal roof. The actual SuperClear is about this far out, so now the rubber butter is attaching to the SuperClear, making for a perfect bond. So we'll rubber butter the entire roof, all the seams, and then we'll be going on to SuperCooling, which is our liquid white rubber. So we'll take a look at that next after all the rubber butter's done. All right, so there it is. The rubber butter's been completed. Got it all down the sides, around their exhaust pipe. We've put the clear on the skylights around the retainer ring that touches the glass. All of the seams have had rubber butter all around the skylights, all the way to the end. And there was some attachment screws here, so we made sure those were covered. All the drip edge along the bottom that goes into the eave trough. Everything completely covered in rubber butter. So let's take a look at putting SuperCool, our white reflective rubber skin, on this sunroom. All right, so now we're doing SuperCool, which is our white reflective rubber skin. We do it in 2 layers onto the sunroom, right over the rubber butter and over the metal roofing. It's easily applied like paint, but it's white rubber and it's highly reflective, so the sun's rays get reflected right back up into the sky. Let's take a look at that when we get further along. So I'll show you something that happened as we were applying the white rubber skin. The wind caught the skin and it flew up onto the skylight glass. Well, what I've done is I take our Max Muscle Mess Remover. It removes all of our products from surfaces. And you see it right here. You just take it, put it on a piece of paper towel, and then just wipe it away. And we'll take our coatings off, and any of our rubber products. It'll remove rubber butter, it'll remove caulking. You can clean your engine with this stuff. Max Muscle. All right, so we're just finishing off the last layer of SuperCool, our white liquid rubber skin. So from this end of the sunroom all the way to the other end is now one piece because it's covered in liquid rubber. Even right up onto the skylights, and then around the retainer rings we have our SuperClear, which is our clear liquid rubber. That'll waterproof those retainer rings to the glass. So that's how you properly clean and waterproof a sunroom. So there you have it, a totally cleaned, waterproof, and refurbished sunroom roof using ToughSkin products. If you want any more information on our products, go to ToughSkinProducts.com. And also subscribe to the channel and I'll teach you how to properly waterproof anything. So thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you on the next video.